Okay, people. So pack a lunch, man. And normally, right, we just got a few. There's a few fights, go the distance. Sometimes hardly any, right? Now, I don't know what was in the water of Baku, but we had 10 fights go the distance. 10 fights go the distance. That is bonkers. You know what I mean? Oh man, it's crazy. And it's not saying that every fight needs to be, you know what I mean, a war and people fighters need to be, you know, do crazy things. But man, like there was fights that you feel could have been finished, you know? Well, just people just I don't know, it's an odd night. It was an odd night, you know? So yeah, out of those 10 fights, right, two were the the closers. So we're looking at eight here. Eight fights. Now, out of all of these eight fights, I mean, I feel there was some that I would not have been mad if they had been draws, you know? Especially the first one. Oh, that first fight, right? So we had oh Rust, how do we say the name? It is Hamdi Abdawab against Muhammad Usman. Right, so this fight, like it ended, it was close, obviously. It ended 29-28. But yeah, I feel a draw could have been fair. Because to be honest, neither was doing a whole. I mean, at the beginning, Hamdi was doing the most. You know, Hamdi was definitely doing the most. Usman was very flat footed. And it's just throwing single shots. And the crazy thing is, right, you listen to fighters talk, right, about their training, their inspirations, you know, the coaches involved, their mindsets, and they're like, yeah, we've trained combinations, we trained doing this, we trained putting this together. And then come fight, you see nothing. Right? You see nothing. And listen, it's a tough sport for sure. I mean, is it even a sport? Right? This is two people going at it. Now it's a chess game. It's skilled. Right? It's technical. But I feel that a sport makes it kind of seem something timid. You know what I mean? And this is anything but. So it's always props to people that are willing to go into that gauntlet. But, right? But I think sometimes there's people that are built for something and people that like the idea of that thing, but not necessarily it's not necessarily what they are meant to do. And I don't know what Muhammad Usman's motivation is, because he played American football, right? I think that was probably the thing. And once a football career ends, it's like, what do I do now? Because he didn't look, he didn't look like he wanted it. You know, he eked out a victory, but we didn't really see any combinations. There was no fight IQ, right? Everything thrown was predictable. Like he keeps on ducking for a jab, and the other arm drops, so anyone with good kicks could land a kick and just knock him. You know what I mean? You just think there's so many openings here. Uh, yeah, it was a very odd fight. Hamdi clearly gassed. Clearly gassed. Now, he doesn't have as much experience, so I think this will be very helpful for him because it will show him the things he needs to work on. And he did have aggression. He was moving forward, But yeah, Usman was able to last longer, essentially. Last longer and just keep up, the jab and a few things. But yeah, as I said, I would not have been mad if this had ended in a draw. Right, another kind of an odd one. Another odd one, for sure, was our featured bout. We're just going to go a bit out of order here, to be honest with you people, because, it's how the mind is working right now. We had Curtis Blades. Right, Curtis Blades took on Rizan Kuniev. Kuniev, native to Azerbaijan, making his debut to the organization. And that was the second of our heavyweight clashes of the night, right? So it kind of works after the first one. And this fight, right? Curtis Blades looked good in the first round, got the takedown. After that, could not take Kuniev down, right? And he was getting touched. Kuniev was landing good shots. Blades, was trying, keeping someone against the fence, like doing certain things. But I think when you look at damage, I'd say Kuniev landed the more, right? Kuniev done I think he cut Blades. There was a lot on that side of things. Now, it went to a split decision, But I think a draw could have been fair, though. You kind of feel Kuniev may have eked that one out. I think Blades was lucky to get it. Now, Blades works hard, right? He definitely was working. He was looking. But his attack patterns did get really predictable. You have to work on those things because to, survive to reign as a heavyweight champ, right? As any champ in any of the divisions, you cannot be formulaic. And none of the champions are formulaic. You know what I mean? That's the big thing. And Blake, he's been around a long ass time, right? He's had multiple fights. He's experienced. He's a vet. So he should be working on these things, right? He should be looking at differentiating that attack. Putting those combos together. Because those are the things that will help get the takedowns as well. Because these takedowns did become, again, rather predictable. You could see them coming. And if I can see them coming, Kuniev definitely can see him coming. Right? So that was the thing with that fight. Definitely a good, big win for Blades. Right? Definitely, helpful. Gets him, into contention. But yeah, it was an interesting fight for sure. For sure. But it's again, it was a fight that really summed up the night because oh boy, we just had a lot of fights that were kind of flat, right? There was a lot of flat fights. I will say that our next fight, that was not a snooze fest, right? That was exciting for sure, you know? So, yeah, we had some good things happening on the night, right? So that was the flyweight clash between Azmat Maxim and Tagir Ulanbekov. Oh man, these two were scrapping, really going at it. It was an interesting one because Ulanbekov, he got a unanimous decision. Couple gave him 30-27s, which I don't know about that. I feel 29-28 was probably the fair assessment of the clash. Because Maxim was able to get multiple takedowns, in the fight. Ulanbekov wasn't able to get. I don't think he landed a takedown, right? He did land good combinations and strikes. They both did, right? Ulanbekov did hurt Maxim, but these two, that's the thing. Not all fights that go the distance are boring, right? You can have a great scrap that goes the distance. It's just there were a lot of fights on the card that were not exciting. You know what I mean? But this one was definitely in the exciting camp, right? We then had two women's bantamweight clashes back to back, right? The first was Irina Alakeva against Claudia Sigula. This one was decent. Sigula, she put on a good show, right? She kind of dominated the fight. Though Alaskeva, was trying. But, man, Sigula, she just seemed to have a better arsenal, right? More ways to win, more looks, right? Good defense. She put it together. Her Alaskeva a couple of times in the fight, right? And just seemed to know how to put it all together, which was I feel it was a drastic, what's the word? Man, my mind is going all over the place. But a contrast. Yeah, it was a drastic contrast to the next fight, which was Melissa Mullins against Daria Zazenkakova. And this was their second fight. They'd already fought before, and I think just 2 fights previous, right? Mullins won that fight with ground and pound. But I don't know, right? Supposedly she said that Daria was the hardest hitting woman she's faced. So knowing that, right, you'd think you would go, okay, we need to train takedowns, right? Takedown entry, different styles, to string things together. But we saw nothing. Now, Mullins showed a lot of heart, for sure. Tough, right? Tough. And that's the thing, right? You try and be critical, but you're not trying to put people down. You feel me? Like, they do work hard. They're in there. They're getting punched and kicked and kneed and all of these things, So props. But Mullins just didn't really have any fight IQ. I think it was just like, well, I won the first, so I'll win this. But it's not how it works. And we oftentimes see the person that lost the first fight come and get the victory, right? Because they're not complacent. They're working. They're like, I want to get that back. And the winner, oftentimes, again, is a thing. They think, I won the first, so I'll win this. But Mullins just, man, she got a takedown at the end of the first, right? But went for a sub rather than ground and pound, which how she won the first fight, right? And you think if she did the ground and pound, maybe she would have got the win. But after that, it was all Daria. The jab was money, right? Like Mullins was struggling to get inside. Daria kicks, jab, all of these things to keep that fight where she wanted it. And she just messed up Mullins. Right? Now, again, Mullins showed a lot of heart. Didn't give up on herself at all. But just needs to work on that fight IQ, man. Really does, because yeah, it just was not working. Not working at all. Now, boy, a ass fight, right? Was the Ismail against Young Park. Oh man, right? There were so many fouls. So many, like, Nuradev, like, I poked, I think, what, 2-3 times? Held the fence several times, like clear fence grabs. And nothing really happened. He did, like, oh man, like, he kneed Park when he was down. And it was, I mean, it was flush. It was crazy, right? So he did lose 2 points for that, which, boom, perfect, right? Perfect. That's what needs to happen. I think that's what needs to happen for most of those kind of infringements. Because you know, right? You know you're not meant to knee when someone's on the ground, right? You know all of these things. So check. And if you don't check, that's on you. Now, you might not be doing it on purpose, but you didn't check. What the fuck are you doing? So yeah, it was just this weird fucking fight. Park was compromised from the pokes and just all the different things. So the fact that he was able to get a victory, that's oh man, that's a lot. That's a lot. But yeah, it was just insanity, right? Just that many infringements without a real, like, you think the fight should have just had a disqualification at one point, right? It should have just been like, you know what? Fuck it. It's done. It's done. You're out. But hey, it went on, and yeah, that's what happened. Now, the last fight of the prelims, right? We had Oban Elliott against Sekwon Ko, a welterweight fight. Now, on IMBD, not IMBD, TKO, is that Tapology? Ko's nickname is KO. It's not. It's the Korean Tyson, right? Which, this KO, it just seemed weird. It was just like, wait, that's your how is that? But yeah, it's Korean Tyson. It's, and oh my days, right? He fights with his chin mad up in the air. But the confidence Ko had is off the charts. Now, Oban Elliott, it's not like he sat back and wasn't trying. He was trying, but Ko just had the answers for every single thing. Was able to, out grapple, out strike, right? Like if, Elliot moved to the left, Ko would predict what he's doing and counter it right away. It was such a friggin' great performance from Ko. Oh my gosh. And that was his debut. It was his debut and he looked so good. So good. He looked like he could be a problem at welterweight, right? Looked like he could be a problem. Like, it's hard to tell, could he go all the way, right? But you definitely see someone who will give people fits. Definitely I wouldn't fight with my chin that high up, but his defense was good. His defense was really fucking good. And Oban Elliott is not a slouch. Oban Elliott is a fucking Welsh gangster, right? So the fact that Ko was able to do that to him is friggin' nuts. Oh boy. Oh boy. But that was a decent fight. That was a decent one. So as I said, some of these distances, fights that went the distance, they weren't terrible. Some were enjoyable, but it was just a funky card, right? So we have one more fight to go over with you, and that, people, was a featherweight bout. It was the opening fight of the main card. We had Bogdan Grad against Muhammad Naimov, right? And this fight was, oh man, these two really went at it. Now, Grad, right? He throws a lot of spinning attacks. Like at the beginning, he landed a few shots, but it was Naimov that had the range. And he landed a incredible spinning head kick. Oh my God. It was crazy. And Grad was, man, he was doing the funky chicken up in there. You know what I mean? But, like, when you think, fuck, he's done, he gets to take that, right? Which was perfect, as it gave him just the opportunity to get his faculties together, and so survived that round because Grad had started to land better towards the end of the round, but he still seemed he wasn't quite getting that range, and Naimov was landing jab well and everything like that, right? And Grad gets a takedown at the end of the second. In the third, these two are just, they're definitely trying. Still a lot of spinning. Their gas tanks were very good. Throwing a lot of spinning attacks, right? Throwing a lot. But it's Naimov that is able to, get the most off, right? He's the one able to do the most, land the most, right? Be the most impactful. But Grad was not giving up on himself. He was trying to the end, right? Trying to the end. This was, it was a fun fight to start the main card. It was 29-28 across the board. And I think Muhammad Naimov was definitely the just winner. But it was one of the sole fun fights that went the distance. You know what I mean? As I said, man, there wasn't a lot. What a rush fight was the thing that really saved the card. Oh my gosh. So, hey, when we get to that, you're going to understand, people. You're going to understand.